Hey, so on to the weekly update this week. If you like the video and you want to see more of this kind of content, please hit the like button below. It takes you about 1 second. Shows me that you want me to do these videos. And that's pretty much that. So let's get on with the video. So, quick update. Last week, we obviously said that if we close below the 60k region, the 59k region, we expect to push down to the next support level, which would be that 53k region, and that trend that trend line support up here, and that actually proved out to be really nice. And until about a few hours ago, we actually expected to close somewhere down right at the trend line, or even outside it, but we actually got this big wick right down, maybe took out these stops, took out some liquidity and smashed it back up to the upside. So actually looking pretty good here. And if we zoom out onto that weekly again, let's just have a quick look. Like I said, this is a key area of major support because we're looking essentially here at 53 and these basically wicks over here, and if you look at the 21 EMA, which is actually a super important moving average, that's also in confluence with this upper trend line. So I would say that somewhere between here is good support, and we've got that in this little red box over here. Okay, so looking pretty good here. Good area to be putting in some bids for a swing to the upside, and yeah, looking pretty good at the minute. Any dump below this low here at about 53.3, I would be looking at a push down to the next major support, which is probably stronger, probably even stronger support than this, I would imagine, which would still be above this low, which would still keep our uptrend integrity going, which would be about that 48k region, which is you get some key monthly closes, and also you've got these areas where we basically made major pivot points where price either got strong support or strong rejection. So we look for 48k should this drop as major support for the next buy zone. But for the minute, Bitcoin's actually acting really strong, and didn't expect this kind of polarizing move. So if we quickly zoom in on the shorter time frames, and we can kind of have a look at what we're looking at here, is we broke below this big zone over here below 56, hung out at this trend line, and now we basically reclaimed this today. It looks like the daily will probably close back into 57k territory, and if we can hold this, then looking good. Maybe we can challenge this trend line up here, which is probably the most important trend line at the moment, and maybe we do something like this. Hey, look, if we can maybe just hold this like this, make a push higher, and then maybe just form some sort of basing pattern here, some sort of basic consolidation pattern, and then maybe it might even look like this. I'm just sort of speculating, right? But either way, maybe we can get this push above this trend line, and basically just platform high. That's basically what I would be looking for at the moment. But just look for these key areas, because if you look on the shorter time frames, this is what I have marked out for the weekend. Is we did break. We did break these key lows over here, but really just for about a minute, and then just swung it all the way back up to the upside. So looking good here. I think any higher time frame close above these two zones over here would probably indicate the direction of the market for the next for the coming week. But as we've got this really nice close here, and I think this close is actually quite an important way that this week is closing, because obviously it made everyone think that basically it was going to go straight back down. But yeah, took this out, swung it back up, and now the weekly's actually got some room to breathe, especially in this trend line. Because if we finished any lower, everything was starting to look a little bit tight. But we're hanging around here. The weekly's probably, by the looks of it, unless anything spectacular happens, it's probably going to close about 57 something, 56 something, and then also look, we're closing that weekly region above this zone, which is quite nice. So definitely something to look out for, to maybe give us some room to maneuver higher. But I'm liking this move. Let's see if we can get some volume and some momentum to push us higher from here, and I would expect Likely, I think that the next week, just go with the trend, right? There's no reason to suggest at the moment that we're going to just all of a sudden collapse. We've also hit quite extreme fear in the crypto index. So just be aware, all of a sudden, last month's prices of extreme optimism are already turning into, within a few weeks, extreme fear, which is just mental, really. So yeah, just be wary of that. That a lot of people on Twitter and online are calling for lower prices and thinking this is the market cycle top. So yeah, essentially, just look for Bitcoin to maybe possibly break of this trend line. Look to take this higher, is what I would say. Any higher time frame close, maybe on the daily, something like that, moving into next week looks nice. Any break of this low, I would expect a challenge of 48. Okay, and that's essentially what I'm looking out for. And if you look at some of the majors, I won't go through too many of them this week because Bitcoin, for me, is the one that will still lead the market moving into the next phase of the cycle, whether that's to the upside or the downside. But I still think Bitcoin is the better hold, better than quite a few of these alts. I would say moving into the next few months. So. But we did get, we said last week, look out for ADA at about $1.50, AVAX at about $100, looking really, really good. So if you follow some of those calls and marked out those key levels, sound, looking good, we're in business. Some other things to look out for is Dixie, obviously, typically inversely proportional to the American dollar. The fact that Dixie's actually had this super, super strong move here since basically since the Bitcoin crash, and that's essentially coincided with the Bitcoin sideways correction, that this has actually moved up 7-8%, which is a big move for the dollar, and Bitcoin's actually essentially at the same prices where it was in May. Probably tells you a little bit as much as you need to know about inflation and the money printing, that as strong as the dollar has been, Bitcoin has actually kept pace, because usually when you get these big moves in the dollar, Bitcoin does make a fairly inverse proportional move to that. So when we got that move from essentially COVID low, right, we got that 12% decline, Bitcoin went on an absolute tear, and essentially this was the last bull run in 16 down to 17, and that was the bear market moving up here. So the fact that we've actually got this tells you that actually Bitcoin's actually doing pretty well and looking pretty strong. So yeah, and for the short term for the Dixie, we've got this rising trend line up over here, which we're coming up and retesting. So just look for maybe for the dollar to possibly pause, and any move down for the dollar from here, just look for that to be a good indicator of strength for Bitcoin. I would typically expect it to do pretty well. So yeah, so that's pretty much what I'd look out for moving into next week. Let's see where we can go. I think the most likely thing is basically just to continue following this trend line. Any break of this low and the trend line, if it sort of falls apart, then look for 48 is the next buy zone, and let's discuss any potential price action if we actually get down there. But I wouldn't expect. I don't expect 40 to be broken. Like I said last time, I don't think this is the end of the cycle. I do think that the cycle does lengthen. And it's basically a stretched out version. That makes total sense to me with every cycle and every big move. So yeah, and yeah, that's pretty much all there is to cover, really. So like I said, if you like the video, smash it up with a thumbs up. Smash it up with a thumbs up and a like. And yeah, and then we'll pick up in the midweek and next week, and yeah, see where we're at. Peace out.